it's game night, but tonight's going to be a little bit different because only Tony and I can get together. When that happens, we usually pick out some two-player games we need to get to the table. And it just happens we just got two-player games, historical games that can both be played in like an hour or less. So we're going to check those out. One is Saigon 75 from Nuts Publishing, which takes place in Vietnam. One side plays as North Vietnam, the other plays as South Vietnam towards the end of the Vietnam War. And then Twilight Struggle, which is Red Sea, the full title, Red Sea Conflict of the Horn of Africa, in the Horn of Africa, can't read, that is basically a shorter version of the full game Twilight Struggle. Both of these games can be played in under an hour, two-player, and we can't wait to check it out because we've really been getting into these games, especially these types of games that can be played in a shorter period of time. I'm going to do Saigon 75 first because there's a little bit more setup to that. And then Tony gets here, we'll play that, and then we'll give our thoughts on it. Okay, I just had the coolest experience. I'm sitting here in McAllister's, and a gentleman walks up to me. Lots of times while we're sitting here, people come in and say, you know, what game are you playing, etc. The gentleman comes in, was asking what we were doing, and we're playing. I got Saigon 75 set up, which is basically the end of the Vietnam War. The gentleman, whose name's Dan, is wearing a Vietnam vet cap. So he sees it. I tell him what we're doing. He says, well, you know, I served. And he was telling me about how he worked in radio ops. He wasn't ever stationed over there. He was stationed in Japan. So he's telling me his stories. And then I told him that we were also getting ready to play Twilight Struggle. He said, well, that's interesting because he said, right after Vietnam, I went to the NSA and helped them out during the whole Cold War and was basically responsible for intercepting transmissions and decoding them and stuff. How freaking cool is that to meet somebody who experienced the exact games that we're getting ready to play? That's what I love about these things is I told him, I said, you know, I can read about the history of the stuff. He said, I'd love to read through that and see. He said, with me being in the NSA, he said, there's some stuff I still can't talk about to this day, just kind of hear, you know, see what will be in the books and everything. So anyway, very cool experience, which makes me even more excited to try these games when Tony gets here. All right, we just finished up Saigon 75.
Well, that's Twilight Struggle.
That's Twilight. Well, we're setting up Twilight Struggle because I forgot to record the video. Do you like? You have to kind of know where the camera is.
Because there's only 4 lenses.
Well, this is the better camera on this side as opposed to the other side.
That's not. So I understand.
Hold on, I need to make an adjustment here because I think the mic's on that side. Okay, no, that's not good either. That is really bad. That is really bad camera work. All right, Saigon 75. You play the South. I was going to say Korea.
Yeah, I played
South Vietnam. I played North Vietnam. Asymmetric game. Basically, this is when the U.S. is pulling their support.
It's the end of the war.
Yeah, and spoiler alert: Saigon fell to North Vietnam. So it's really interesting that North Vietnam gets stronger over time. South Vietnam gets weaker, but your goal is just the last 8 rounds.
Survive.
Yeah.
Survive. We all know what happens at the end, so it's can you survive to win?
Right.
Yes.
And for North Korea to win, they have to wipe everybody else from the map or take over Saigon.
Mm-hmm.
And you were kind of frustrated because you're like, I don't see how I can win, but it actually came down to the final round.
I think it was a lot about, in these games you're usually used to building up armies and being able to bring them in, but this is not the case. You start with the troops deployed. That's it. That's all you get, and then attrition.
Right.
You go through the attrition phase of it, and I guess that I was concerned that the game was not going to last as long because of dice rolls. And I have nothing wrong with the dice rolls. Am I tilted now? Okay. I'm level. All right. So that was where it was. But yeah, I was very surprised that I lasted as long as I did, especially when my desertion rolls were as strong as they were.
Yeah, so this is really interesting. One of the phases in the game is, depending on the number of provinces that North Vietnam controls, the more they control, South Vietnam has to roll a die roll, and the result will say how many people desert. And so I read the history book that's in there, and that's pretty much what happened.
Yeah.
Towards the end, the South Vietnam was like, I'm done. I'm out of here. Adios. And so thematically, I think it did a pretty good job telling the story.
Thematically, it was great. Ease of the game was there, as well as rules weren't that bad. There were a few things we had to look up, but nothing, you just got to get through the process.
Yeah.
It's always. As far as overall, but I mean, I'm not going to spoil whether I liked it or not. We'll just leave it there. I mean, it was a different style of these games. So I like the simplicity of it.
Yeah. It's definitely a card-driven game, event-driven game. We're actually getting ready to play another one right here.
Really? You'd say it was event-driven? Where I'm saying thinking the events really didn't play that strong versus all of our die rolls. I thought it was more strategic than the control of the events. That's something for the show to discuss.
That's fair. That's fair. This one's definitely going to be more of an
this
event-driven game because this is basically the little sister to the big brother Twilight struggle. So we're getting ready to check it out right now. Okay, Twilight Struggle, Red Sea, Conflict in the Horn of Africa. It's a long title. So you've played Twilight Struggle before. I have not.
Only the app.
Sure, but you've still experienced the game.
Yes.
So here's the question: is this Twilight Struggle, but
Yes.
a lot quicker?
A lot quicker, a lot smaller, a lot faster.
Okay.
A lot faster.
So since I've never played Twilight Struggle, I've never done the experience of. Well, I guess it's not Watergate-ish. I've done event-driven card games like this where we both have the cards, yours and mine, and but this whole idea of doing the coups and influence and everything is totally new to me. I really like this.
Yeah.
I really like
You
this.
have multiple. I mean, you're not restricted by just only playing cards for your event. You have to choose how you want to do them. Do I want to give you the event for the operational values? I mean, yes. Yes, it works very well from that standpoint of having options. And that's what I liked about Twilight Struggle. It's just that I don't know the cards that well as Twilight Struggle, and you really need to know the cards.
Well, I think that's what makes this game better. Not better. Different in that there's a lot. I guess there's a smaller deck of cards here. I would assume, so I can load the cards quicker. So, like for example, the first time through, I didn't realize that the Middle East scores so much more than Africa until Tony pointed out, well, it's right here on the board. I just didn't catch
But there's an
that.
auto victory here. You had that card.
That's true. That's true. So yeah, I really dug this. I totally understand. I think this was nominated for Best Historical Game of last year for BGG.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. I really like this. And in fact, this says it takes about 35 minutes. It took us longer, but I think if we reset and played again, it would go a lot quicker.
The only thing I wish they had done, if this wasn't as translucent.
Oh, the.
I mean, it's a nit. It is a complete and total.
But I do like the way the board is laid out, so that each of us can see our options.
Yeah, but I just
of how the actions work.
I understand why they did it. I know. But other than that, yeah, it's great. Enjoy it.
I will say a big thank you to Candace Harris over on BGG, who made 2 how to play videos, one for this game and then one for Saigon 75. Big help. Use her more often for historical games because she did an amazing job.
Really
and the rules for this were really easy too. I really appreciate GMT rulebooks now. I understand how to read them and the flow of them, and this matches the same thing. So yeah, I like it. You'll hear more full review in our next episode,
or whenever we decide to put it in there,
or the episode after that. You never know. That's game night.
That's game night.
That's game night.
We're done.
We're done.
Woo-hoo.
We're gonna pack up.
Yeah.
Say bye.
No.
No.
No, I hate that.
Bye.